The Daily Mail. Ben & Jerry's customers call for boycott after woke ice cream makers' July 4th message demanding the U.S. return stolen indigenous land, starting with Mount Rushmore to the Lakota. This July 4th, it's high time we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it, the company's account tweeted. Outrage was swift on social media, with many disgusted by what they saw as anti-American sentiment on a day meant to celebrate the United States. The ice cream giant, now owned by British multinational Unilever, has long supported far-left causes, often with dedicated ice cream flavors. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am the Anti-Woke Warrior. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed. I do thank everybody for stopping by. You can find me over on Rumble and on Twitter. Ben & Jerry's, wow, there's like not a million different ice cream companies out there that you can purchase ice cream from. You don't have to shop at Ben & Jerry's. It's like Budlight. What are you doing? I mean, you realize that you're not the best ice cream in the world, Ben & Jerry's. You're nowhere near. In fact, if any of you out there listening to this have not been to Italy, go to Italy right now. Just get your passport, get a plane ticket, go to Italy, and eat gelato. It's the only thing you will ever need to eat in your entire life to be happy. And you'll thank me later, trust me. Now this, of course, is just ridiculous. We know that the land was not. The history is much more nuanced and mostly different from what they're saying it is here. So let's get into this article. Ice cream company Ben & Jerry's sparked outrage with a July 4th tweet calling for the United States to return stolen indigenous land, starting with giving Mount Rushmore back to the Lakota Sioux tribe. And as I recall, when I did my Crowder video, my Crowder response video, Lakota is a slur. Lakota Sioux means like little snake, I believe. That's what that means. I could check real quick and then put an edit in here later. The company, which was founded by longtime Bernie Sanders allies Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenwood, but has since been sold to British multinational Unilever, tweeted the message to its 494,000 followers. You know, you get woke, you go broke, and this is what's going to happen with Ben & Jerry's. This 4th of July, it's high time we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it. The company's official account wrote before, suggesting Mount Rushmore should be handed back to its original owners. Okay, it didn't have original owners. Most Native American tribes did not have a concept of land ownership. They didn't understand that when the Europeans came in and started purchasing land from the natives, which we did do rather frequently, then the natives would just come back onto that land, and the Europeans like, what are you doing? You can't be here. They're like, what are you talking about? You can't own this. You can't keep us from this. No, it's like, no, we can. This is our land now. You have to stay off of it. We bought it fair and square. There were purchases of land. The tweet sparked immediate outrage on social media, with many disgusted customers using the hashtag boycott Ben & Jerry's hashtag to slam the message as anti-American sentiment on a day meant to celebrate the United States. One commenter compared the statement to Budlight partnering with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney, which resulted in the beer giant losing more than $20 billion in market value. Yeah. We have a cool little infographic down here. This is CEO Dave Stever. He sparked outrage Tuesday with the tweet. Let's see here. The United States was founded on stolen indigenous land this 4th of July. Let's commit to returning it. That's the image that he tweeted. Wow. I didn't go on Twitter yesterday, so I didn't see it. But this notion that it was stolen is so myopic. It's ridiculous to think that that's the explanation for how the United States came to be, was on stolen land. There's the tweet right here. Long overdue for the Bud Light treatment. You hate the country, fine. We won't buy your product. All good. There you go. Another commenter called for hashtag boycott Ben & Jerry's for being hateful and divisive to Americans on the 4th of July. Yep. Joseph Massey called them hypocrites for all the cows that had to suffer to make the company's ice cream. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they're on the vegan path. Is Ben & Jerry's vegan? I don't think that it is, because it's not. I mean, obviously ice cream is not vegan. Real ice cream. There's that vegan crap out there that's gross. I've never tried it, but I've heard. First, you need to apologize to the millions of cows you milked without consent, he wrote. Your product is colonialist misogyny in the form of an overpriced dessert. Stop feeding the people cow trauma. I think he's being sarcastic here. Kevin Dalton continued on the hypocrisy, noting that technically Ben & Jerry's own factories were on stolen land. This is true. I mean, according to this company here, every bit of real estate they have is on stolen land. but it's not true. I mean, like I said, we bought land. It wasn't stolen. There was stolen land. I mean, we did go in and push people out, excise territory. The Europeans did. Not cool, but this is the history of humanity. It's a distant past now. I mean, come on, we're talking hundreds of years ago. And we also conquered the land. The natives fought back, and this whole notion that it was a genocide, not true. It was not a genocide. The natives fought back. They killed off thousands of Europeans, probably hundreds of thousands. I don't know how many people were here to kill off at the time. And I think now, actually, there are more Native Americans alive today than there were when the Europeans arrived in North America. So there you go. I look forward to the virtue signaling Ben & Jerry returning their factories and land to the Abenaki and Mohican Native Americans that have lived in Vermont for 10,000 years. Eli Klein chimed in, a commitment to give America away sounds a bit much. This is absolutely stupid and pandering nonsense, added Libby Emmons. And here are those tweets. Ben & Jerry's has, throughout its history, been a supporter of far-left causes and partnered with various movements for social justice. The tweet then linked to a post on the company's website explaining why America should start with Mount Rushmore and how they hope to support a movement that would dismantle white supremacy and systems of oppression. White supremacy and systems of oppression. Can somebody please point to all of the white supremacy that's happening today? Can somebody please tell me in what way it is that white people are keeping non-white people oppressed? Please tell me. I want to know. I want to know all of the things that white people do, because I don't see any, really. I mean, there might be individuals who try this, or small groups of people who try this, but as far as in the United States, it's illegal to oppress white people. And we just have this big uproar with the Supreme Court going, hey, Harvard, you can't give preferential treatment to people who aren't Asian or aren't white. That's illegal. The 4th of July. Who doesn't love a good parade, some tasty barbecue, and a stirring fireworks display? The only problem with all that, though, is that it can distract from an essential truth about this nation's birth. The U.S. was founded on stolen indigenous land, they wrote. They said the Lakota Sioux tribe referred to Mount Rushmore as Tunkasila Sakpe, and the tribe considers the land sacred. Yes, they consider that land sacred. It's been well documented and well known about for years and years now. Ben & Jerry also cites treaties that allow the tribes to keep Mount Rushmore dating back to the 1920s and the Supreme Court decision that ruled the land had in fact been stolen from the Lakota tribe after they staged a sit-in in the 1970s, or in 1970. The court ruled that the Lakota Sioux were due $105 million, but the tribes refused payment, demanding their land be returned. The ice cream giant then announced its support for the Land Back movement, which it says is about restoring the rights and freedoms of indigenous people. It's about dismantling white supremacy and systems of oppression and ensuring that indigenous people can again govern the land their communities called home for thousands of years. Yeah, okay, so look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the Europeans coming here was not tragic to the Native Americans. It certainly was. There was a lot of heartache, a lot of brutality, a lot of mistreatment. There was mistreatment of the Europeans by the natives as well. It wasn't one-sided. But at the same time, because the Europeans came here, the Native Americans now have electricity. They now have air conditioning, refrigeration, penicillin, all of these things that have changed our lives for the better, drastically changed our lives for the better, that were invented by white people. And I know all the haters out there are going to be saying, oh, well, the Native Americans could have done it quicker and better. They would have done it sooner, and they would have done it better, and they would have done it more peacefully, and it would have been global warming compliant. Whereas the white people just did it and didn't care about anything or anybody, and they only did it for themselves. But yet at the same time, I mean, the Native Americans have access to all this stuff. Yeah, is it, like I said, is it tragic what happened? Yes, it is. There's a lot of tragedy throughout human history. This is in the distant past. This is how things were back then. Today, you would be like, yeah, you don't do that. What are you talking about? You don't go in and take somebody else's indigenous land. That's ridiculous. What's wrong with you? But those were different times. Those were times based on more on emotion, on mythology, than the times we live in now. So this is the people, what they're calling the Lakota Sioux people near Mount Rushmore. And there's, of course, Mount Rushmore Cohen and Greenwood were longtime supporters of Democratic Socialist Senator Sanders, who represents their home in Vermont in the Senate, and created multiple flavors to support his company after they sold the company in 2000. Ben & Jerry's has continued to push its woke agenda under CEO Dave Stever and its current owners, Unilever. Having partnered with the likes of Stephen Colbert, Colin Kaepernick, Megan Rapinoe, and Squad, Congresswoman Cori Bush, in September of 2021, they debated a flavor in support of a $10 billion bill by Rep. Bush that would replace police officers with social workers and other first responders in incidents of mental health and substance abuse. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that's a good idea, but it depends on the mental health, because some mental health issues lead to violence. Some substance abuse issues lead to violence. So, the cold brew flavor ice cream, complete with marshmallow swirls and fudge brownies, was developed in partnership with black-owned coffee and tea company BLK and Bold and New York's Greyston Brewery, known for its brownies. I like how we have to know that this coffee and tea company is black-owned. That matters, right? I see just the audacity that they would put that on their labeling. Like if I go to the store and I pick up a product and it says company is female-owned or whatever, I put that product down and I go buy something else. Not because I'm against women entrepreneurs or women owning companies or women being employed, but because the fact that you feel like you have to put that on something tells me where your mind is at, and it's against me. Like if I said, hey, you know what, I want to own a company. No, you're a white man. Shut up and get out. What the hell? I'm not allowed to own a company because I'm white. What does that have to do with? Oh, you're white supremacist. No, I'm not. This is so ridiculous. This freaking stupid ass cult religion, ridiculous. The flavor supports the vision of the world in which every community is safe and everyone, including black and brown people, can thrive, said the company's head of activism, Jabari Pal, who kills more black people than anybody else. I'm imagining the same could be said for brown people as well. I mean, I know because we had the meeting under the burnt out volcano last month. I was there. All the white guys got together and said, okay, we got to get more people into India, into the Middle East, so that we can start killing those people. I know it was set up. I mean, I remember the meeting clearly. Guys, don't get it twisted, right? I remember that meeting. It's so ridiculous to think that there's some sort of push to get rid of black and brown people. Brown people outnumber white people by a ton. There's way more brown people in the world than there are white people or black people. So the fact that you think that white people are the problem here is just ridiculous. Ben & Jerry's also partnered with the movement for Black Lives for the new flavor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In 2020, the company teamed up with former NFL star Colin Kaepernick for a non-fat frozen yogurt called Change the World, and its world is spelled WHIRLED. Proceeds went to his social justice organization known Know Your Rights Camp. Yeah, I'm sure that's not indoctrination at all. Its popular Chubby Hubby flavor was renamed Hubby Hubby in 2009 in support of Vermont legalizing gay marriage. Yeah, of course. In 2021, Ben & Jerry's announced it would end its sales in regions such as the West Bank because it is inconsistent with our values for Ben & Jerry's ice cream to be sold in the occupied Palestinian territory. Okay, you know what? I'm betting that place is much better off without you there. Because like I said before, your ice cream is not all that spectacular. I've had it a few times and I'm like, this is not that good. I'd rather go to Baskin-Robbins or Cold Stone any day of the week. And there was a local ice cream place in my hometown, pretty dang good. And there's like a bunch of other brands like Magnum. If you had that Magnum stuff, oh my God, Magnum is good. Magnum is amazing, especially, I don't know if they still have it, and they discontinued it where I live. The Magnum chocolate mint, whew, oh man, heaven in my mouth. I don't know what to tell you guys. I love chocolate. What can I say? All these different politically motivated Ben & Jerry's launched a limited edition ice cream flavor entitled Pecan Resist ahead of the midterm elections next week. What is Pecan Resist? I don't know if that's a play on words. I don't get it. There's the Hubby Hubby, which looks terrible. Ben & Jerry's launched a flavor called Justice Remixed as part of a campaign to overhaul the country's prison system. Yeah, I mean, we just need to deal with the criminal element, I think. The company had also announced in a statement that it would not be renewing its license agreement with the Israeli company that manufactures and distributes the ice cream in Israel. Again, Israel is probably better off without you. I don't think that they're suffering over there in Israel too much. It was eventually returned to the shelves in 2022 after the company sold territorial rights to the local franchise. In 2019, they debuted a new flavor called Justice Remixed as part of the prison reform campaign. The limited edition blend is a mixture of cinnamon and chocolate ice cream, cinnamon bun dough, and spicy fudge brownies. The company partnered with the Advanced Project for the campaign to transform the system to deliver justice for all instead of just some. Yeah, justice doesn't always get done properly, but we're human. We make mistakes. That's how it goes. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying it's okay, but back in 2018, the company claimed it had taken a stand against the Trump administration by rebranding one of its flavors under the name Pecan Resist. The company and its founders revealed the limited batch of ice cream on Tuesday in Washington, D.C. ahead of the midterm elections, revealing that the move was sparked by what the company considered to be a regressive agenda by then President Donald Trump. What is this regressive agenda? Can you please tell me? Because what the woke want, and you're one of those people, Ben and Jerry's, what the woke want is for us to regress. They want segregation. They want to put black people in a position where they can have more power. They want to put brown people in a position where they can have more power. At least they say they do, even though I don't see any of that work being done. But there's all this movement now to indoctrinate the people into believing that black people are oppressed, that brown people are oppressed, that there's this ongoing oppression that happened from slavery that's still affecting people today. But here's the fact right here, right now. You look at the south of the United States and you look at the north of the United States, the north has a higher standard of living, even though the south had slaves. And not only does the north have a higher standard of living, they had a much higher standard of living 100 years ago. Like, it was just like crazy by comparison. The fact that the south had slaves means that they were not better off. And if you are a freed slave, are you going to travel to the north, or are you just going to be like, oh, that's a long trip and I don't know if I'm going to make it? Or, I got kids, I got this, I got that, I got everything going on here, I'm just going to stay here. If you stay in a place that was oppressing you, you're going to continue to be oppressed, even if that oppression is lifted, just because it's an oppressive area. What do I know, though, right? I'm just some guy who rants on the internet. We got Dean B64. He says, one of the easiest protests to make is to boycott. This company have put their foot in it, just like Wix, Bud, and now this lot. Companies need to stop pushing their agendas because we're sick of it. Yeah, that's what Flower Bunny Love says. Mature Grits says, I was never impressed with their overpriced concoctions anyway, so they aren't missed in my freezer. Yeah, like I said, there's much better ice cream out there. I tried it a few times, and look, here we got Temptation One says, I boycotted them years ago. Yeah, it's like it wasn't worth eating their ice cream. It's too expensive for how good it was. I tried it. I think I was 20 the first time I tried it. I went to a grocery store. I was looking for some snack, and I was like, I've heard of this. It must be good because I've heard of it. I got it, and I was like, this is not good. And I think I've had it like half a dozen times in my whole life. I'm not a fan. Venture Dave says, stick to the business, not political statements. Yes, exactly. I don't want to know what your politics are. I want to know, can you deliver a quality product or service? Lovely Lydia says, I boycotted them after the first time I tried their product. Sucks. Haagen-Dazs is much better. Can't have Haagen-Dazs. I'm allergic to eggs. Haagen-Dazs has eggs in it. Eric D says, well there, Mr. CEO, nice timing, but you can do your part by giving them free ice cream for life. Yeah. If you want to actually support put your money where your mouth is. These pieces of crap hypocrites, put your money where your mouth is. Take all of the real estate that you have, give it to Native Americans and be like, here, you have this real estate now. You can earn money off of it. If it's a location that owns that property, then hey, you own the ice cream shop and the property it's sitting on, and you can make all that profit. Only employ Native American people at your stores. That's not illegal, but yeah, let's do that and see how far that gets you. What was his name now? Stever? What was his first name? Where's he at here? Dave Stever. Dave Stever! Look at him. If you're not looking at the screen, take a look at this picture here. Oh, that just opened up that. I was hoping to get a bigger image of him. There you go. Dave Stever. He looks very Native American, doesn't he? He might be a tiny bit, like maybe 1/8 Native American. But he looks real white to me. Yep. Here's the face of white supremacy, everybody. You can see it right here. A person who owns a company that he did not build from the ground up, who does not employ people who are black, brown, or indigenous. This guy is the face of white supremacy. Spread it around. Let's get that trending on Twitter. Hashtag Dave Stever white supremacist, and see what they think of it. Anyway, let's boycott Ben & Jerry's. Not like I wasn't already, but again, we got to start boycotting everything and anything that disagrees with, just human value in general. If you want to go around and spout there's black supremacy when there wasn't, I'd be like, you're stupid. What are you talking about? I'd be doing the same thing I'm doing right now. So anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate everybody stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video. Before I go, one last thing. Here's a guy who can do an awesome flip.